Ah, The X-Files, a beloved television series from the 90s that had the whole country wondering just what was out there, and when those two sexy FBI agents were finally gonna bone.
My butt?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat your butt.
Every week, people tuned in by the millions to watch Mulder and Scully investigating paranormal and possibly extraterrestrial cases that almost always turned out to be just a bunch of bugs.
Bees?
But there was one episode of The X-Files that was so upsetting, it had even the nation's mothers hiding under their beds. So gross that they buried that baby as soon as it came out. To find out which episode it was, and to understand why everything I just said is in extremely poor taste, stay tuned. This is CanonBall. Now, most people tuning into The X-Files knew they were in for something upsetting, and if they didn't, that weird purple face from the credits let them know real fast. So it's not like the FCC would have been grasping their little narc pearls by someone calling in to say they saw something gross on the Scary Alien show. After all, we're talking about the same show that put this fucking guy on the television, which was apparently totally fine. That was season 2. Anybody along for the ride had already weathered staring at what looked like a monster made entirely out of wet assholes, so they probably thought they were through the worst of it. Honestly, it's surprising they got away with this much in the 90s, given that it was a time when pixelated blood was enough to give senators the vapors. For 3 full seasons, Mulder and Scully splashed cryptid blood and bits on each other while giggling like flirty schoolchildren without the hammer coming down. But 2 episodes into season 4, they finally found the line, and a shitstorm ensued. Episode 2 of season 4 of The X-Files was titled, innocently enough, Home. Now, those are the episode titles you have to watch out for. If an episode is titled something like Invasion of the Skin Eaters, it's probably not that bad. But if it's called some unassuming single word, like squeeze, Home starts out innocently enough. Oops, sorry, I misspoke. Home starts out with a screaming, bloody childbirth and enough gore to fill a horror movie climax before we even see the opening credits. Despite their creative choice of medical instrument, the baby is successfully delivered into the arms of the waiting parent, who then delivers that same baby into the ground, burying it alive, which, unlike a plant, does not help them grow. Look at the ugly mugs on those guys. Now that's a face only a mother could love. More on that later. Now that all that unpleasantness is behind us, we can enter the 3rd minute of the episode. That lifetime's worth of trauma only covered the cold open. Much like the baby in question, we're only scratching the surface here. Let's take a look at everything that made this episode particularly horrific.
Mulder, that would take a whole day.
Good point, Gillian Anderson, woman who I would maybe let kill me if it pleased her.
Come on. I want to make you say cheese.
Let's go with a brief, sickening synopsis. The baby's body is found immediately because those guys suck at digging almost as much as they suck at childcare.
Get to it.
Then we find Mulder and Scully on the scene because, to put it bluntly, this baby is so fucked up looking that the sheriff called the FBI. They perform a brief but not brief enough examination in the police station bathroom, where Scully notices it's absolutely riddled with hereditary diseases. In 1665, this would have made it the King of Spain, but in the modern world, inbreeding is generally frowned upon, unless you're trying to make a really cute dog.
Here comes little brother.
Who could be responsible? Probably the Peacocks, the deformed family that lived 20 feet away from the baby grave, and that the sheriff all but introduces as the incest brothers.
Raise and breed their own stock, if you get my meaning.
Cool attitude, police guy. Not my gene pool, not my problem. That's what I always say. The only problem is that there are only 3 boys in the genetic stir-fry that is the Peacock family. They have no sister, and their mother and father are thought to have died in a car accident. By the way, if you thought all the family fucking talk might have meant that they'd hold off on the flirting, don't worry. Mulder's barely exited the makeshift toilet morgue before he's hitting on Scully.
Now, we all have a natural instinct to propagate.
Do we?
There are theories.
Realizing that there might be a female kidnapping victim involved, this is now officially FBI shit, meaning they can't file it under ew and head back to looking for little gray men. They call it a day, and Mulder and Scully smile at each other in a motel while the Peacock boys murder the sheriff with a club like a bloodthirsty Bam Bam from the Flintstones.
They really went caveman on him.
By the way, not the point, but I totally forgot people used to be able to smoke on TV. The hardest part of this episode getting on air today would probably be the deputy ripping a sick ghost inhale. They then head to the Peacock house, and after a little stealth section involving using pigs as a distraction, enter the house, which is booby-trapped like Home Alone. And viewer, how I wish I could tell you they were alone in that home. Okay, let's do this quick, like a Band-Aid. Because their mother did not die in that car crash after all, and they had her limbless body strapped to a little wheel board under the bed, where she stays unless they are, to put it colloquially, making the beast with 4 backs, consensually, for the very, very, very little that that's worth. With the horrifying horizontal nature of their family tree fully revealed, Mulder and Scully try to do the horrible math of who exactly is who's what now. It comes out like the world's most disgusting SAT word problem.
The way I think it goes here is that Edmund is the brother and father of the other two.
Pigs successfully wrestled back into the pen, the Peacock Bros realize their little genetic blender of a house has been broken into, and they come barreling back in. A tussle ensues and 2 brothers are left dead. Edmund, unfortunately, has escaped along with his wife's sister, and the episode ends with them planning the future of the Peacock family from where he is keeping her in the trunk of his car.
Now we have to move on. Start a new family, one we'll be proud of.
This aired on Fox, regular network television, at 9 p.m. This was on 1 hour after The Simpsons.
I've seen enough, Mulder. Let's go.
It would never air on Fox again, outside of a single, morbid rating grabs 3 years later. It re-aired on Halloween, advertised as the episode so controversial, it's been banned from television for 3 years. To this day, it's the only X-Files episode to ever receive a TVMA rating. Unlike Mama Peacock, some of the people involved in Home were not super proud of their creation.
They're such good boys.
Kim Manners, the director, called the baby-burying opening shot, quote, "the most awful shot of my career." The song Wonderful Wonderful by Johnny Mathis was supposed to be a big part of the episode, but they had to use a sound-alike because Mathis refused the use of his version. When the writers, James Wong and Glenn Morgan, pitched a return of the Peacocks on the show Millennium, also created by X-Files mastermind Chris Carter, they apparently received very simple instructions from Fox executives. Quote, "those characters never appear on television again." Time to find out how the YouTube algorithm feels about it. Well, that wraps up today's episode. Say goodbye, Fluke Man! Watching this episode of CanonBall. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more nightmare fuel, and let me know in the comments how you think Gillian Anderson would murder me. I hope she grows really, really big and then crushes me with her boots.